So hey guys,
Hi.
this is Son and
Hello,
from Microlocks, and we're back here today to do another video titled "Why Did I Lock My Daughter's Hair?" So the great question: why did I lock my daughter's hair? And more to the point, why did I give her so many locks? If you want to know how many locks she has, you have to go watch the other video. We can't tell them in this video.
Don't tell them.
But we did do a frequently asked questions video.
Yes.
So if you want to get all the tea,
Then just go to that description below, and then you see it.
We'll leave a link. We'll leave a link in the description box for that one.
For that one,
so
you can
go
see it.
Hi guys, this is Sam once again with Microlocks here in Abuja, Nigeria. And if this is your first time watching, we do locks, lifestyle, and everything in between. And by we, I mean I and my 7-year-old daughter. If this isn't your first time, welcome back. If this is your first time, thank you for joining. Please do subscribe, and if you like what you see, hang around, subscribe, hit the bell notification button so that you're always aware when we post new videos, and feel free to like, share, and leave a nice comment. Okay, so without further ado, I'll get right into the video for today. In a previous video, I talked a bit about what the experience has been, having locks or living with locks in Nigeria. And I remember that one of the things I had said was that our experience with locks has been largely really positive, and that is true. First of all, a little backstory. If you haven't already watched my daughter's 6-year journey to Microlocks, I would encourage you to pause this video and go watch that. My daughter was born with a full head of hair. Okay. For those of you who are familiar with Afro textured hair, they have what they call the placenta perm. I think that's what it's commonly known as now. So she did have the placenta perm, but just barely. I don't think she had it for more than 2 months, quite sincerely. And from about the age of 2 months, I noticed that her curls started getting less and less and less and less defined. By the time she was 3 months, she frankly didn't have any baby hair. Like, it was full on regular fussy hair. Okay. So, and then from there, the curls just got kinkier and coarser, and so yeah, I literally struggled, because it was a struggle. I'm not even going to sit up in here and lie, with my daughter's true fussy hair. In fact, I often joke that if there's a hair type that is beyond fussy, like 4W, fuzzy, that's where my daughter was. Like, that's how serious it was. Wash days were a struggle and a half. In fact, wash days were 2 struggles. It was. So true story. Let me tell you guys a story, right? I remember my mom's 70th birthday. We were to travel for my mom's 70th birthday, and I had deliberately left her hairstyling, her hair care, to the very end of the day, because I remember back in the day when I used to struggle to style her hair, a lot of other moms, concerned individuals, would be like, why don't you do her hair while she's sleeping? And I was like, my daughter is a light sleeper. Have you guys met my daughter? It's not going to work. But I was like, okay, let me just try. Let me just try styling her hair while she's asleep, so that I can at least say I tried. So that day, I intentionally left her. She fell asleep. Round about, must have been about 1 a.m. I was done packing. I was doing everything I wanted to do. So I was like, oh, okay, she's been asleep for a good 4 hours, And then I started And my daughter woke up and was like, huh! After that. So the entire compound was awake because I had to start my daughter's hair. And that was normal for us. Wash days, because then she was just a tiny little thing. So I used to lay her out on the kitchen counter.
I was like 1.5 years old.
Thereabouts. I used to lay her out on the kitchen counter to wash her hair.
Don't.
And this young lady would be screaming, crying.
The hot boiling water was hot.
Like, you'd be thinking that they were really pouring hot, scalding boiling water on her soul, not just her body.
Yeah.
So she'll be there, she will have bribed her, she'll be holding chocolates in one hand, candy in the other, promises of everything to come. It would take, so I'm the one washing her hair. Her dad is begging, pleading with her. One of her aunties is holding down her knees so that she doesn't roll off the kitchen counter. It was an entire production. And I tried everything. Like, I was buying up shea moisture products and Cantu products. Like, maybe I had shares in the company and I needed to invest. And then finally, I think it was her paternal aunt who said to me, have you ever tried raw shea butter? And I was like, men and brethren. It worked like magic. Okay, that was the like literally from the moment. So the warm water went on, and then raw local shea butter, not the refined fancy packaged stuff that you see on the shelves. Just raw local shea butter that they sell in the open market in Nigeria. We followed the hot water with that, and for the first time, my daughter's hair strands started to part away, like the Red Sea parted for the children of Israel. It was beautiful to behold, but my joy was short-lived because yes, now we could detangle, but my daughter had a trailer truckload of fussy hair. My daughter had hair that could have been comfortably shed by 4 different human beings, packed on top of the one head of a toddler. So yes, we had finally found something that would allow us to detangle her hair, that would actually allow the comb to like go from, maybe not root to tip, but root to mid shaft to tip. But she still wasn't having it. She just wasn't having it. And for those of you who have true fussy hair, and I don't mean all these fussy hair that people just try to use as clickbait. I mean true fussy, or what should probably be better than fuzzy hair, and who also have who are also tender-headed. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. And I honestly don't blame her. Even for an adult, it's a lot of hair. It's a lot of hair. For a 4-year-old child, it was too much. So I devised a strategy. I would put in between 50 to 70 mini twists or micro twists into her hair. In no particular pattern, I would just like she didn't have time. She wasn't. Not my daughter. She wasn't going to sit down for anybody to be parting any fancy lines on her head. So I would, just part like what looked to be like equal size amounts of hair with my finger. I would part as I went along, and then just twist down. And when I say those twists stayed in, those twists stayed in. They wouldn't come down until I was ready to do the next twist. So the way we would do this is I'll put the twists in. She would carry the twist for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, however long it took between the last wash and the next wash. We would wash the hair with the twist in. We would condition the hair with the twist in. We would decondition the hair with the twist in. And when and only when I was ready to put in new twists, I would take one twist down, I would detangle, and I would put the twist right back before moving to the next twist. So we were literally living. Those twists didn't come out. They didn't come out unless they were being retwisted back immediately, instantly. That was the only time those twists came out. That was the life we were living. We were living in twists, and it wasn't just her. Like the moment I figured out, oh wow, this is working for my daughter, I was like, why not try this for myself? And after we had done that for a year, I was like, I've stumbled on something, because I noticed the honest truth of the matter was that the living in twists was born out of necessity, just for my sanity and for my daughter's sanity. But something I very quickly realized was we were retaining life, which was a very welcome side effect of living in twists. And we were doing all of this around about, let me say, between 2016 thereabout. What I forgot to mention was within this time, I think around about 2015, one of my sisters got Sisterlocks. And then in 2016, I believe, my second sister got Sisterlocks. She had longer hair. She had much tighter curls than the first one. And so for the first one, I was like, okay, And then one of those days, it occurred to me that we're living permanently in twists. There is absolutely no difference between myself, my daughter and myself, and my sisters. Now, honestly, the only difference is that they don't ever take down their hair. So this whole thing we do where we wash the hair, condition it, deep condition it, and then we then go on to take it down, only to redo it immediately. I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself? Like, why? Especially since my sisters at this point shared with me that they didn't have to condition, they didn't have to deep condition, they didn't have to buy hair products, they didn't have to detangle, which, hello, that was the cocoa of that was the main thing, like just being free of combs. I was like, say no more. And that was it for us. But the plan was to wait until my daughter was about 9-10. That was the plan, because I did want her to make an informed decision. My thinking was, if she was going to get a style that really was very permanent, that it would be a good idea to, let that be her own decision to make. Something that was very key to me, I really wanted to be able to keep my natural hair the way it grew out of my head. It was important to me to model to my daughter that we are beautiful naturally, the way God created us. There is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with our hair. And I'm saying this now, not just because I'm in the business of locks, but because the more I think about it and the more experience I have with, just working with black hair, working with locks, I realized that the only reason why we as a people consider our hair problematic was that we were trying to make our hair do what it was never created to do in the first place. The hairs on our head love to tangle, they love to marry, they love to intertwine. And we were sold a narrative that wasn't beautiful. And so for generations and generations and generations and generations of beautiful black women, we've been trying to keep or marry those strands of hair, trying to keep them separate, trying to keep them straight, parallel to each other. But both our hair and in our culture, we love to do this. Okay? And so it occurred to me, why not let the hair, encourage the hair to do what it already wants to do? And in your role be to put some structure to that. And so after I got my hair locked, I was actually going to wait for my daughter till she was about 9 or 10. But like I said, I've been doing a lot of research on social media. And one of those days, you know how I think I was on Pinterest, and you know how when you're depending on like all the searches you've done, it then begins to suggest to you things that things you might be interested in given the research you've already done. And I came across this picture of this beautiful child. She looked like she would be anything between. Actually, there were two pictures. One, I think they're lovely little locks on Instagram, and we talked about them in a previous video. I didn't know this at the time. I just saw this gorgeous little black girl with the most gorgeous head of sister locks I had ever seen, and I was like, because keep in mind, this was a time when, there were lots of adults with sister locks. Like if you went on Pinterest, or you would see so many people with sister locks. It wasn't yet a thing in Nigeria. Apart from probably my younger sister, I didn't know of any other Nigerian who had sister locks or microlocks or anything. And certainly not children. Certainly not children. Like I didn't know of any child who had tiny locks. I had so many questions, especially with regards to if I put these tiny locks in my daughter's hair, I mean she's still growing, what would they then look like, by the time she's an adult? And so for that reason, also because I really did want it to be her decision, I wasn't planning to lock her hair. And then, like I said, I was on Pinterest minding my own business, and I came across this gorgeous little girl with a gorgeous, head of tiny locks. Of course, I had to trace her to Instagram, found out who she was. Her name is Madison. I think she's the older of two sisters. So I think the whole family of 4 is locked. The dad, the mom, the 2 little girls. She's 10 now, but at the time, I think her mom locked her hair when they locked both of them when they were both 5. But I think the older girl is about 5 years older than the younger girl. And I said that was it. Like once I saw Madison, that was the final turning point for me. Oh no, it wasn't just Madison and this other girl. Because at the time when I saw this picture of Madison, I think this was about a year after Madison had locked her hair, so she was 6 at the time. She had gotten her locks at the age of 5. But what really decided it for me was the second girl, whose picture I saw. I saw a picture of her at the age of 3. By this time, my daughter was 4 years old with a little change, so 4 going on 5. And I saw this picture of a 3-year-old little girl with the full head of sister locks. Yes. So of course I had to go searching for her as well on Instagram. Come to find that at that time she was already 19. She was a full adult. Still had this gorgeous, in fact it was a beautiful picture of her on the beach. I think she was just coming up out of the water with like waist length or butt length sister. I was sold. That was it. I didn't have to ask any other questions. I was like, this is it. This is my sign. This is all I need to know. And that was how my daughter's locks were born. Because people would always say to me, tiny locks, but why 600 and something? Like you could have done, a little bit less than 400 or a little bit more than 400 or 600. Truth is, I never set out to do 600 or something. I had a ton of free time on my hands, and my daughter has a ton of hair, so I just knew I had an idea of the size I wanted them to be, and I just went with it. Obviously, there was a lot of trial and error involved, and I often joke that I used her as my guinea pig. I made all the mistakes on her that so which we've been able to correct most of them. And I'll go into more detail about my daughter's hair, the whole installation process and all of that on another video. I don't want this video to be too long. But by the time we were done, I had spent 5 weeks installing over 600 locks of my daughter's hair. There are literally some things that only a mother's love can do, but we survived. And I can honestly say that was one of the best hair decisions I have ever taken for myself and for my daughter. One of the reasons why I decided to make my daughter's locks so much smaller than mine is that generally the tinier your locks are, the more closely they mimic with natural hair. And so I wanted that versatility for her. I didn't want her to feel cheated or like she was missing out on doing styles that her mates were doing. And so the idea was, if I make them too big, she can't split them, in order to get them any smaller, she would have to cut and start all over. But if I make them really tiny, then she has the choice, if she says, oh, it's taking too long, I'm not ready for the time investment or for the financial investment when she grows older. That's in a situation where maybe we don't live in the same town or something like that. If they're too tiny, then she can always combine, but she can't go from bigger to smaller. And so that was my thinking behind making them so tiny. But then again, it wasn't like I set out to do a specific number. I just knew I wanted them tiny enough that they would very closely mimic loose natural hair. I was also very intentional about her grid. If you've been watching so far, kudos to you. Tell me in the comments below if you're interested in seeing how I created that grid and her installation process, and we'll make another video. I'm happy to make another video about that. But yeah, in a nutshell, a very long nutshell, over 25 minutes of a nutshell at this point, that is the reason why I love my daughter's hair. And we've reclaimed our time, we've reclaimed our money, we don't buy products anymore. The only things we use are black soap and coconut oil, believe it or not. And wash days are a breeze. Like, who would have thought? If anybody had told me that my daughter would be reminding me about wash days and looking forward to wash days are having, like, but it is. That's a current reality. So, no regrets. 2 years and counting. We'll both be 3 years this year. She will be 3 years December 4th, and I will be 3 years October 18th. Absolutely no regrets, and that's the honest truth. So, thanks for watching so far. Thanks for hanging with me. If you're still watching at this point, please like, comment, and if this is your first time here, subscribe, join the team, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye bye.